So thank you everyone for joining this partnering tutorial for RESI. If anyone has attended RESI before, we have some new features that Hello Partnering has done. They've completely made over the Messenger tab. So this will be informative even if you've already attended RESI before.
Yeah. And for those of you who haven't attended Resi, I would just like to say that the partnering platform for Resi is unique because we populate information about all of the investors who attend using the LSN investor database. So for you, that means that as you're looking for investors, you'll be able to read more about what they're interested in investing in, what stage of development, what geographic preference they have. So you can better select the right investors to reach out to. And just as kind of um, a general tip on how to get the most out of Resi and our partnering platform, and Karen and I talk a lot about this. But basically, I think there are four really important things to keep in mind. First is to create a strong profile for yourself and your company. Second, to write a strong meeting request message that we'll talk a bit more about that. And then to send that message to all of the investors that look like they might be a fit for you. And at Resi Boston, with the number of investors who are coming, the number of investors that will be a fit for you could be as many as 100 or more. We're expecting about 400 investors to attend. So you may, I mean, you just should keep that in mind that you need to reach out to as many investors as possible that are a fit for you. And then the fourth important pillar of being successful is to follow up frequently with those investors. So we'll talk more about that. I will go ahead and share my screen. All right. So when you log into the partnering platform, it will look like this. And this is a dashboard where you can just get an overview of what your partnering looks like, where you can see how many meetings you have scheduled over here. Uh, and it's very exciting to see that number grow as you when you log in and see, oh, I have two more meetings. You know, it's that's really the goal here is to meet as many people as possible when you're at Resi, right? And you can just, you get an idea of what's going on. Anything else to add about the dashboard, Karen?
Yeah, I would also add that it's a good way to also make sure that everything in your profile is complete. One other thing to note is the Save Your Company profile. This is great for anyone who attends multiple Resi conferences. It will save your profile to the system, the biotech gate, and then it will get automatically re-uploaded if you attend our conference again, so you don't have to do it every single time, which is something that people often find frustrating.
Yeah, the previous partnering system we used didn't allow for that, and we got a lot of complaints, didn't we?
Yes.
So, like any conference you go to, the first thing you want to be sure of is having a profile that's as complete as possible, so that if an investor that you reach out to wants to know a little bit more about you and your company before deciding to accept the meeting or not, they can easily go to your profile and read more about you. So this is the profile. I quickly put together a personal profile for myself. You can upload whatever you want here. You can put in a short bio. You can put in your contact information, where you're located. It's up to you. Email and type of participation. I'm participating physically, which means I will be at Resi Boston. So that's important to put in there because there are participants at this conference who only participate virtually. So it's good to make that clear. I can upload a company presentation. I can also and we definitely want to do this. We want to have a complete company profile. So upload your logo, put in the information that you think is relevant. Um, I would put in your goals for the conference that I think most of you are looking for investors. So that's one of the options here. And then you can also put in advanced information about your company. And none of the fields are mandatory. You can put in the information that you think is most relevant, but I think it's definitely a good idea. You can also here in advanced company profile, here you can also put in um, more information about yourself.
I would also add that, you will find a lot of areas maybe very irrelevant, and that's fine. This system was designed to work for any company in the life sciences, so drugs, devices, diagnostics, digital health, as well as service providers and investors. So there will only be a certain, and then also anything from startup all the way to publicly traded company. So there will be some things that won't be relevant. One thing that I will note that does tend to confuse people, Greg, if you would go to the seeking section.
Mhm.
So if you click the edit button, one thing that companies find confusing is that you'll see here, your goal is seeking companies to invest. That doesn't mean you're seeking an investor. That's for an investor seeking to invest in companies. So we will always get a handful of companies that will accidentally tag that when they're a company and not an investor. And then they'll come up in the investor search. So that's just to clarify, if you're looking for an investor, you're looking for an investor financing, not seeking companies to invest in you. That's it's a
Yes,
different nuance.
you would click this box here. So
Yes,
you're looking for an investor or investors. You can put
yes.
in currency. I would say it's easiest to use US dollars, no matter where you happen to be from. That's the common currency for everyone. I know some of you are from Europe or from Asia, and it just gets too complicated if you put in your own currency. So I would translate everything to US dollars. You can put in some information here that you're raising your Series A to take you through IND and to phase one. I don't know, whatever you want to add. And then you can also say that you're seeking to outlicense your assets. So maybe you're looking for a pharma company that would be interested in licensing your technology. So that's another option there. Okay, good. So next thing to keep in mind is that RESI is going on for 2 days in person. It's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the first day, on the 22nd, which is Tuesday, September 22nd. And on Wednesday, we finish at 3 p.m.
Yep.
Okay.
And there is a reception on the first day.
On the first day, at the end of uh, the partnering, so partnering, the last partnering meeting starts at 4:30, ends at 5. That's when the reception begins.
Yes.
You need to think about what time slots you would like to take meetings. Because as you start requesting meetings, if you don't make time slots available, first of all, you won't even be able to request a meeting if all of your time slots are marked as unavailable. So, and you know, we have this issue a lot. If you don't make time available, and if investors don't make time available, then it's an issue for booking the meeting. So we will remind you from time to time over the next few weeks to make your time slots available. And
Yep.
then, so that, I mean, that's true for the Tuesday and the Wednesday that are in person. But keep in mind that Friday, the 25th, Monday, the 28th, and Tuesday, the 29th, you can schedule partnering meetings virtually with either people who are in Boston and were at the conference, or with there are many investors. I would say, I think there are about 40 to 50 investors who are attending virtually only. And those investors, they might be from Asia, they might be from the US, they might be from Europe, they might be from Australia. So wherever they happen to be from, they will be in different time zones. So if you are in Boston for that, you want to make sure that you don't make time slots available that you're not going to be able to take a meeting. So, I mean, if you don't want to take a meeting at 1 a.m., keep that as unavailable.
And inevitably, it happens that someone will say, "Oh no, my meeting got scheduled for 2 a.m." So always double check your availability. And if you're not local, you will notice that there are two bars. The left one is on East Coast time because that's where the event takes place. So that's a special, that will give you the time when, where your partnering meeting is in at the conference itself. And then the other one you set to your local time. So that way you can better set your availability for whatever time zone you're in. But just definitely make sure that you're cognizant that you're tying the correct time zone to wherever you'll be when you're taking those meetings.
But as Karen said, if you get a meeting scheduled at a time that turns out to be inconvenient for you, it's very easy to reschedule. So it's not the end of the world, but you can save yourself the hassle by making the times available that you are actually able to take meetings. Okay, so your objective coming to Resi is to meet people, right? You're probably looking to meet with investors, with strategic partners, maybe with some service providers that you know are want to learn more about. So you'll go to the search tab, and here you have several options. You can search for companies or investors. If you click on search for investors, you'll get the entire list of investors. And you will want to narrow that down by you want to narrow it down to the investors that would be interested in investing in your field. So if you're developing a therapeutic, you can just click therapeutic. Don't worry about I mean, you can, but these are subsectors, and you can take those off, and you can click, if you're developing an antibody, you can click that. And then if you go down to therapeutic area of interest, this is the indication that you are treating. So whatever that indication might be, and then what stage of development you're in. Now, it's important to differentiate between a therapeutic. So if you're a biotech company developing a drug, then you would use these phases of development. If you're developing a diagnostic or a medical device, you would just have these two options. You're either in development or on the market. But if you're developing a drug, you could be anywhere from discovery phase through phase three, pre-filed, even on the market, whatever your stage of development happened to be. Okay, so I'll just say preclinical, which is a common stage of development of biotech companies that come to Resi. And geographic exposure, this is where investors are willing to invest. So if you're a US company, you can say, I'm looking for investors who invest globally and in the USA. And I don't think you need to worry about anything else. There are many other categories that you can look at, but you don't want to, keep in mind that the more filters you put in, the fewer investors will come up in your search. So I would just leave it at that for now, and you can go to search.
I always also like to cast a broad net. Sometimes I will even just put in no filters and skim through all of the investors just to get a feel for who's coming, and also because it's always interesting to see what the nuances of what they're looking for.
Yeah. So in this first search, I get 57 potential investment firms. So this is not individual investors. This is the actual companies, the actual investment firms. And you can see, there are different players here, and you get this description, which is what I mentioned earlier. This is uploaded from the LSN investor database. Now, if you want to have more information, we have an option called um, Premier Partnering. Premier Partnering is an upgrade to your registration. It costs $500 US dollars, and with that, you get additional information. It didn't. It looks like it didn't upgrade me. I'm on the back end, Karen. That's probably why.
Oh, oopsie.
Yeah. Um, so anyway, if you have Premier Partnering, then you would see additional information here, taken from the LSN Investor Database. But very importantly, down below, you'll be able to see, where is it? You'll be able to see the delegates who are attending from this company and from this investment firm and their email address. So with Premier Partnering, you will be able to compile a list of target investors with their contact emails for future outreach, which is a big deal because we're talking about a large number of investors who are coming. At this point, for any particular company, there are probably at least 50 to 70 investors who are a fit. And by the time RESI comes along, we expect to have um, many more investors still register between now and the time of the conference. So
Yeah, I would say
you'll be able
we're
to have a good list.
yeah, I would say we're at about half what we will be once we actually once the conference actually rolls around. So
So
I
for
expect we'll double the number of investors between now and
yeah,
then.
so I mean, for this fictitious company that I did the search for, there are about 50 investment firms today. There might be about 100 by the time the conference runs around, probably about double. So if you want to have um, a target list of 100 investment firms that are a fit for you from around the world with their email contacts, you can upgrade at any time. You don't have to do it from the beginning. You can upgrade, any time leading up to the conference, and we're happy to do that for you.
You can even do it after the conference if you find that you want some of their contact information that you didn't think you would. It's not limited in that way. Um, and the platform will be open for 3 weeks after the conference. So you will be fully able to go into the system afterwards and see the information that you want.
Yeah, that's important to keep in mind. Um, you will never be able to meet with all of the investors you would like to at any conference. So inevitably, there will be investors who, um, you know, were not able to meet with you, and this is a way to be able to continue following up. So once you've read about a particular investor and you think, yeah, that investor is a good fit for me, I'm going to request a meeting. So you click on send a request, and here you can click both of the attendees from that firm. Um, you can say request a meeting or meet at RESI, whatever. And here in the message section, you're going to put in a very well thought, well written request for a meeting. What should companies include in that meeting request, Karen?
In an initial request, I recommend that you include what is your company, what does your company do, what stage of development you're in, how much you're looking to raise, and what you're going to be doing with that fundraise.
Yeah. And usually it would be maybe a couple of paragraphs. Should be
Yeah,
enough.
I mean, I aim to do that in 5 to 7 sentences. So a goodly paragraph, but not too long, a message, because the investors are going to be getting hundreds of these requests. So if you can keep it short and sweet and get to the point, they will thank you for that because they have a lot of messages to get through.
Yeah. So, in the fictitious case that I did the search for earlier, I would say, "Hi, my name is Greg. I'm CEO at such and such company, developing an antibody for whatever cardiovascular disease. We're in preclinical phase, raising $20 million to reach IND." So this is the key information. Um, and once you have that message sent, it will go and you don't have to worry about, I would say, Karen, not to even worry about the
Oh,
priority.
so the priority is actually only for you. This is one thing that I recently learned because it was something that we recently had updated. So, if you are if you're sending a lot of meeting requests and there are some investors that you would like to prioritize the meetings, you can set the priority as high. And so this is for you only. The investor doesn't see it, but this is a way for you to rank the meetings for yourself. And so, because one other thing is the meetings don't get scheduled automatically once they're accepted. Closer to the date of the conference, that's when we'll start running the scheduling. And at that point, whatever meetings that you have accepted that are on high priority, those will get scheduled first. And then it will go down that way. And so this is a way for you to also determine which meetings you would like to prioritize in your own schedule.
Okay, good to know. And I think you should always click send contact details so that the investor has your contact information in case they want to contact you. And if you have another colleague attending and you want them to be in the meeting as well, you can select the other colleague to be in your meeting. There is one thing to keep in mind though. If you select, say there are three of you from your company attending, which is, pretty rare, but maybe there are three of you attending. That might make it more difficult to get a meeting scheduled because you would all have to have availability for the meeting slot. So another thing you can do is just request the meeting for yourself. Your colleagues can be requesting meetings with different investors. And when meetings get booked, you can later add your colleague to the meeting afterwards. That's probably a better option.
Yes. Yeah, and that's actually also something that happens frequently. Someone will, excuse me, automatically add a colleague, and then not realize that they don't have any availability, and then the meeting won't get scheduled, and they don't understand why.
So what we recommend is really think about your outbound meeting request message, make it really good, and send that to your investors that you've identified. But I would have that message on a Word document and prepare at least three follow-up messages that are different from your initial request. And in those follow-up messages, you can go into more detail about some relevant aspect of your company. For example, you can talk in more detail about your technology and why it's unique and how it works. On another message, you can talk about what unmet need you're addressing. and why is it such a crucial need, and why is your technology important and it's going to make people's lives better, or it's going to save healthcare systems money, or whatever your value proposition is, you can go into more detail. And in a another message, probably your last message, probably four messages is what we think is pretty optimal. You can go into more depth about your team, which of course is really important for investors to understand. And when you send a follow-up message, you can, I don't think you can change the subject, right, Karen? But at
Can.
the top of your message,
No, you
can you
can.
change it on your follow-up
Yep.
message?
Yep, you can.
Okay.
Because that would be in the
So,
message center.
okay. So you can say second request and then put in your second message here. So I think it's a good idea to have a Word document with your four messages, your initial message and your follow-up messages. Have them all ready to go. And when you send this investor a second request because maybe they didn't respond to you, and that will be the case often, unfortunately,
Most of the
um,
time,
most of the
unfortunately.
time, um, when you send your second request, put that right at the top. Second request. You can say second request, meet at Resi or whatever, and then you put in your second message, and then third request, and then you can finish with something like fourth and final request. And that, hopefully will catch their attention. That's the idea. So have your messages ready to go. Um, put right at the top that you're following up. This is not your first request. And when when you send that message, it will go both to the counterpart's email and to this section here called Messenger.
And just to clarify, you won't be sending a new meeting request with the follow-up messages. If you attempt to send another meeting request, it'll actually tell you meeting request already exists. So you'll come here to the Messenger tab, and in the keywords, you can search for whatever investor that you've done your outreach to that you want to send a follow-up. And then in this area is where you will do the follow-up, the follow-up message. And so you would just, if you scroll down a little bit, Greg,
Yep.
you will type the message in the just under the outgoing request where it says type your message here. That's where you will put your follow-up. If you would like to change the subject line, then that little pencil right next to meet at Resi on that same line up further up, that's where you change the subject.
Okay.
And that is where you can, and it will even give a subject history. What we recommend is that you space your outreach, your four messages, fairly evenly throughout the course of the conference. Just make sure that your final message goes out to the investors the week before because inevitably we have found that most of the partnering activity happens the week before the conference. And so making sure that you are reaching out that final week so that the message is fresh and that they remember to look at it, whatever you've sent them, tends to help with the with making sure that you have the visibility you want.
Okay, so this is how you can manage your partnering, and this is what Karen mentioned at the beginning. This is the new feature of the partnering platform, which I think makes it a lot more intuitive because it's reminiscent of your email inbox, right? You have your messages sent, your messages received, and it's just I think a lot easier to manage.
Yeah. And you can see that if you click on the down arrow next to the filters, that's easy on the left-hand side. You can see it's very easy to filter your meeting requests. So anything that has been requested as opposed to anything that's been accepted or scheduled. So you can easily see what you haven't gotten a response yet and do your follow-up. You can filter by incoming or outgoing, whatever hasn't been read. And then at the top, you can see you can alter filter them by priority.
Okay. So I think we've covered pretty much anything. If there are any questions, feel free to put it in the chat.
Yep, looks like we have one in the Q&A. Is it possible for admin assistants to log in as into an attendee's account to send manage message? Yes, absolutely. You can share your login credentials with your admin and have them do the outreach on your behalf. That's no problem. And we have a lot of people who do that. The admin won't receive the notifications, you will, but they can absolutely access. And that's actually one thing that we recommend is that, you set your messages, you put in your target list. One thing we didn't mention, Greg, if you go to the search,
Mhm.
so if you go to the search, if you just search all investors, search for investors, two things I want to note here. First, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that there's added between. So as we mentioned, we're going to be adding a lot of investors between now and the conference. So you want to do periodic searches to make sure and see if there are any new investors. And so what you can do is you can just put in the date of your last search as the added beginning of registration and then today, and then it will just filter out who was the most recent investors added. So you don't have to keep going through the same investors over and over again. You can just look at whatever new ones were added. But also, if you see those little star next to the send request, um, if you want your admin to send the messages on your behalf, what you can do is you can read the profiles and then star whichever ones you are interested in reaching out to, and then they can just go through and send messages to the starred ones. And if you scroll up at the top of your page next to your name, you will see that star next to Media Center. That's where you can access what your bookmarked investors are, and that's way they can just go through the list and send meeting requests. And then, of course, if you've already sent a request, you'll be able to see it will say request already sent. Now, there's also a question about when we start running the scheduling. That will be in probably about 3-ish weeks, so about 2 weeks before the conference starts is when we'll start running the scheduling. So you're going to want to make sure that all of your availability is set by then. The reason that we like to wait is that the system works to make sure that the meetings are balanced um, as much as possible, so that it will then balance your agenda. And the longer, the closer it is to the date, the better off it is. But we don't want to wait too long, of course. And yes, we can absolutely let you know before we start running the scheduling.
Yeah. We didn't look at the agenda tab, but just so you know, you can see the different sessions that are going on during RESI. So if there is a session that you really want to be a part of that you're planning on attending, you can click on any of these to register, and it will block off that time in your um, in your schedule. And also, if you are pitching in the Innovators Pitch Challenge, you want to be sure. Well, actually, we will block off that time also. So if you're pitching in the Innovators Pitch Challenge session 7, you'll see that that time is made unavailable in your. We'll do that automatically for you.
Yeah,
So
and just normally the scheduling is done only after the sessions of the pitch challenge have been determined. So we can make sure that there is no conflict for these companies. But also to note, we've seen a lot of people that are like, oh, this panel is interesting and this panel is interesting, and they end up blocking a lot of their schedule but it does literally block it off so you can't schedule meetings. One thing to note is that all of these panels will be recorded and the links, the videos will be posted here after the conference. And so I would prioritize only panels which you find are really, really relevant, or if there's a speaker that you definitely want to track down because there's a little bit of a window to go up and talk to the panelists after the panel. I would say those are the ones that you want to make sure to put on your calendar, but leave the rest open because you can always see the panel afterwards. But making sure that you have time to schedule meetings is very important.
Exactly.
And there's a question here of if there's a benefit to seeking out meetings earlier or just by the scheduling date. I mean, there are some investors who answer early. There are some that answer later. The reason to start now is because if it is an investor who answers early and it's someone that you really want to talk to, if you wait, their schedule might end up full by the time that you reach out. So it's always best to get a head start on it and have meetings scheduled earlier if you can.
Yeah, and also the idea of following up frequently, as we mentioned earlier, how important that is. Kind of the idea is that you want the name of your company and your name to pop up in their inbox, be it their email, be it their partnering messenger tab, whatever. But you want them to see you several times. And you have a better chance of being seen if you send those four messages. So that's why we recommend starting early, like this week or next week. And then,
Yep.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
maybe every
And
3 or 4 days or once a week. We have about 4 weeks to go until RESI. So if you start your outreach this week, send your first follow up next week. And then keep in mind, as Karen said, that there will be new investors registering continually between now and the time of the conference. So you may be sending out your first messages to those 50 companies that we saw today, those 50 investment firms. And then next week, you'll be sending the follow-up to those 50, but there will be 20 or 25 new ones that you want to talk to, and you'll be sending the first message to those. And then the following week, it gets complicated and it's time consuming, but this will really bring you the best results if you keep track of all of this.
yeah, and ultimately we've seen that it's definitely makes a difference that the people that follow up inevitably end up with more meetings. And it's a noticeable difference in terms of the number of additional meetings that you get every time you send a follow-up. But it is inevitable that the amount of effort that you put into the partnering platform is proportional to the results. And it sucks, it's time consuming. But a lot of you have spent significant resources to attend this conference. And so we want to make sure that you get as much out of it as you can, because we know that resources are precious in the startup stage, and we want to make sure that it's better to make sure that you are maximizing the use of your resources, both time and money.
Hey, look, Karen, I have one meeting accepted already.
Oh, really? Did Patrick accept the meeting?
He did. So, so
Excellent.
this, so this is an example of, you'll have a meeting accepted, but you'll see it's not scheduled yet. It'll get scheduled, as Karen says, probably about 3 weeks before the conference. Scheduling will start. But at least I can see I have my first meeting already accepted.
Yeah, and once the scheduling runs, you'll see it move to either scheduled meetings or no common availability. That's as we said. when if the meetings can't be booked because there's a scheduling conflict. One other thing to note, you will not be able to schedule virtual meetings through the system on the in-person days. So it's in-person only or virtual only. And for the virtual days, you there will be a Zoom link that will be available in the system for when the meeting gets started. All
Oh,
right. Let's see if there are any questions that we didn't answer. I think we've gotten them all. If you have any other questions, feel free to let us know. We'd be more than happy to answer. Um, Take some time, play around with the system. You can always reach out to us if you have any additional questions as you're going through and using the system. But, we really want you guys to do as well as you can and get as many meetings scheduled. So hopefully, our advice will be helpful to you. And I wish you all a schedule full of meetings.
exactly. The easiest place to reach us is at resi@lifesciencenation.com,
Yes.
and we will get back to you.
Yep.
So have a
Okay.
great day, everybody, and we'll
Have a
see
great day.
you soon.
And we will also be posting this recording. So if you have any desire to go back and look over, this recording will be available so that you can take a look again and see if there's something that you wanted to look over that you think we said that you missed.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.